So today I want to talk about why having a sense of purpose, having a sense of meaning, life purpose is important in our lives, and why many people don't live with those things. So they sound like electives. They sound like, well, it'd be great if my life had a purpose and a meaning. It sounds like a dream, perhaps. Sounds like maybe even a fantasy. But the sense of life meaning and life purpose is actually part of what drives the ability to express ourselves as individuals. And so when you get really close to this issue, you realize that it's not okay to not have this sense of purpose and meaning, and I have to put some effort into finding this thing. And again, this thing usually happens, this feeling, this need, this urgency to find life meaning and purpose happens usually after midlife. So why do we have this need? Why is that drive there to find some purpose in our lives? Why aren't we just satisfied to just basically, have the life we have and not strive for other things? And why are we not satisfied? There's a lot of reasons for that. But one of the first reasons that we have to look for is that whatever expressed us as an individual, and I talked about this in my other videos, whatever has expressed us as an individual, like whatever creation has happened to express us, has implanted us with a sense that we are here to express something in particular. And this is where it gets into the idea of genius. There's something or a handful of things that we're meant to express in particular individually. This sense, this imprint that the original expression of us contains is linked to our sense of purpose, it's linked to our sense of personal fulfillment, and it's linked to our sense of a meaningful life. And so we have this impression, and before we can actually hone in on that impression that was given to us, we become preoccupied with the developmental task of being a human being. All of the things that happen in our childhood need all of our attention. We have to figure out how to speak, how to walk, how to be in social circumstances, how to create personal boundaries. And along the way, all of this attention gets diverted from our original sense of self, which has been kind of given to us. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But our effort kind of becomes more about developing as a separate entity. At some point, and again, around midlife, this switches, and there's something that calls us to find out who we were before we needed to develop as a separate person and create a sense of separate identity. So I want to introduce you to the idea of prima consciousness. Prima consciousness is something that happens before we develop as a separate sense of self, a separate human, basically. Prima consciousness is, it contains the expression that the Creator or God or the universe expressed in us as an identity. So prima consciousness, like other forms of consciousness or other levels of consciousness rather, prima consciousness has a drive to it. And you can picture this drive as like a coiled up bundle of energy that wants to express something in particular. This form of expression comes from the identification with what we already were before we got separated as a separate self and went through the childhood developmental process and the woundings and all that other good stuff that happens to us. And so prima consciousness means each one of us is born with a sense of self that predates whatever has happened to us in our childhood. This prima consciousness has a purpose to it. That purpose is directly connected to our life purpose. That purpose to it is our life purpose, and it keeps calling to us until we pay attention to it and redirect our awareness to it and make some kind of effort to bring it forth. And so when we want to bring that primal awareness that we have, that primal purpose that we have as an individual, when we want to bring that forward, we have to wade through all of the experiences that we've had that kind of showed us, well, you know, you're not really that valuable. You're not that amazing. You're not that different. You are kind of just the same as everybody else. And all those things on one level are true. But on the other hand, we are all important enough to have been expressed by some other creative force. And as that expression, we have inherent value. We have inherent qualities that, again, predate anything that has happened to us from the time we were born until we figure this out. And so looking for meaning and value and purpose in our lives is a natural phenomenon that makes us want to go back to what we were actually born with as individuals to express. The expressing of those things that we were born with directly linked to life purpose and meaning, in that we are fulfilling a mandate that we were born with. We're fulfilling a mandate that was kind of imprinted in our genius DNA. Now, these things that we express, they don't have to be monumental. They don't have to be a cure for cancer, or they don't have to be exploring Mount Everest for the first time. All they need to be is individually what will satisfy the need that we are born with to express what we came here to express individually. So when you're looking for these things, it's not about trying to reinvent the wheel, or trying to invent something that's no one's ever done before. That might happen, but the main thing is to find what is right for you and to express that. And we have help because that prima conscious drive is there, wanting to uncoil. That energy is there, wanting to express itself. And all we need to do is connect with it, connect with that drive, connect with that energy contained in that drive, and we will have ample and extra energy to express whatever is important to us, to get us in line with what it feels like to have a meaningful, purposeful life. So I just want to let you know, this is not just for special people. This is for everyone. Everyone has this ability to go to that initial identification with what we were before we started developing as a separate person, something that we were born with, and everybody's born with it, and it's unique to each individual, and it just needs to be found by the individual. My effort here is to try and help a little bit to make people aware of it, to offer it as a possible help in finding that sense of life purpose and meaning. So as this human being that we are, we have the choice on what part of our awareness we want to listen to and act upon. There are plenty of things in our prima conscious state, in our unconscious state, in our conscious state that we can take as motivation to express ourselves. We get to choose which one of those we want to express from. The more aware we become about all the different areas of our consciousness and our awareness, the more choice we have, the more we're able to see what is meaningful and purposeful for us. So until next time, take time to uncover your genius, to explore what it's like, and to express it outwardly in the world.